That painful chapter you experienced probably hit your emotions deeply. For you, everything feels personal. You attach to people, situations, and memories with your heart. So when something broke, changed, or ended unexpectedly, it did not just affect your mind, it affected your emotional world. Maybe it was betrayal, maybe it was rejection, maybe a relationship shift, maybe conflict in family or close connections. Whatever it was, it felt heavy because you cared deeply. At that time, you might have questioned yourself. You might have replayed moments and wondered what you could have done differently. But today, we shift perspective. We look at what that chapter built inside you, instead of focusing only on the pain. The first card is the Tower. The Tower represents sudden change and unexpected collapse. Something in your life may have ended quickly, or changed in a way you were not prepared for. You may have felt shocked when it happened. Even if small problems existed before, the final breakdown still felt intense and sudden. It might have felt like stability disappeared overnight. For someone like you who values emotional security, that shock may have hit very deep. You may have struggled to understand why it unfolded the way it did. The blessing here is clarity. After the collapse, truth became visible. You saw what was unstable. You saw what was built on weak foundations. Another blessing is strength. You survived something unexpected. You learn that even when things fall apart, you remain. The second card is Five of Swords. Five of Swords represents conflict driven by ego and misunderstanding. During that painful chapter, communication may have felt painful or unfair. There could have been arguments where people focused on winning instead of understanding. Words may have been said that hurt deeply. You may have felt emotionally attacked or ignored. That experience likely made you realize not everyone handles disagreements with care. Some people prioritize pride over peace. The blessing here is awareness. You now recognize unhealthy communication patterns faster. Another blessing is emotional protection. You learned when to step away from conversations that drain your energy instead of resolving anything. The third card is Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands shows resilience after repeated emotional challenges. After everything happened, you may have felt tired but still standing. You probably became cautious about trusting again. You observed people carefully before opening your heart, not because you became cold, but because you became protective. You may have felt like you were guarding your emotions from further damage. The blessing here is endurance. You discovered how much emotional pressure you can handle without breaking. Another blessing is stronger boundaries. You now understand where to protect your heart and where to allow access. The fourth card is Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups represents emotional maturity and deep self-compassion. After that painful chapter, you may have gone through a phase of emotional reflection. You started understanding your feelings better. Instead of suppressing emotions, you allowed yourself to feel them fully. You learned that feeling hurt does not mean you are weak. It means you care. The blessing here is emotional intelligence. You now understand your emotional reactions and handle them with awareness. Another blessing is self-compassion. You became kinder to yourself instead of blaming yourself for everything that went wrong. The fifth card is the Hermit. The Hermit represents isolation for reflection. After that painful chapter, you probably needed space. Space from people who triggered memories. Space from conversations that reopened wounds. Space from emotional pressure. You may have withdrawn quietly instead of explaining your pain to everyone. You processed things alone. You thought deeply about what happened and why it affected you so strongly. During that time alone, you started understanding your emotional patterns better. You noticed where you gave too much. You noticed where you ignored your instincts. You noticed where you expected people to act the way you would act. The blessing here is wisdom. You now see situations more clearly because you took time to reflect without noise. Another blessing is independence. You became comfortable being alone without feeling incomplete or abandoned. The sixth card is Justice. Justice represents balance, fairness, and accountability. After experiencing that painful chapter, your standards became stronger. You now pay attention to whether effort is equal, whether respect is mutual, whether actions match words. If something feels unfair, you notice it quickly. You stopped tolerating imbalance just to maintain emotional connection. You realized peace matters more than pleasing others. You also reflected honestly on your own behavior, not to blame yourself, but to grow. You accepted responsibility for your part while releasing guilt that did not belong to you. The blessing here is stronger judgment. You evaluate situations carefully before investing emotionally. Another blessing is self-respect. You now demand fairness naturally because you understand your value. The seventh card is strength. Strength shows emotional power developed through hardship. During that painful chapter, your feelings may have been intense. You might have felt anger, sadness, disappointment, or even jealousy at certain moments. But over time, you learned how to control your reactions instead of reacting impulsively. You developed patience with people and with situations. You understood that reacting immediately often creates more conflict, so you started pausing before responding. The blessing here is calm power. You handle emotional triggers with maturity instead of aggression or avoidance. Another blessing is confidence in your resilience. You now know you can handle emotional challenges without losing yourself. The eighth and final card is the Star. The Star represents healing and renewed hope. After everything you went through, your heart slowly started opening again. Not in a naive way, not in a rushed way, but in a safer and wiser way. You may still remember the pain, but it does not control your present emotions anymore. It became part of your growth story. You started believing again that healthier relationships and better opportunities are possible for you. The blessing here is peace. You feel lighter than when that chapter first ended. Another blessing is faith in your future. You trust that what is meant for you will come at the right time. That painful chapter transformed your emotional world. It strengthened your boundaries. It deepened your awareness. It increased your emotional intelligence. You are not the same person anymore. You are stronger, wiser, and more selective with your heart. If you want deeper clarity about your personal situation, personal readings start at $9. Monthly membership with ongoing guidance is $99. If this resonated, like and share. Affirmation for you. I release what hurt me. I protect my heart with strong boundaries. I trust my emotional wisdom. I rise stronger after every challenge.